Most Ukraine aid goes right back to U.S., Nuland claims. This is money laundering. She pretty much just admitted to money laundering. And that's exactly what I've been saying about what Ukraine was. Ukraine was a money laundering hub. Is a bio lab place where they can experiment on things and people and don't have to worry about repercussions. And Victoria Nuland, she pretty much admitted that. Now, Victoria Nuland, she is the architect. She and John McCain were the ones that actually started this whole Ukraine Russia stuff back in 2014, back when John McCain was still alive. But we're gonna talk a little bit about that. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store. Also, check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for news as well. All right, let's talk about this news here. Now, this comes from InfoWars. And they report that Washington spends most of the money allocated as aid for Ukraine on weapons production at home. Acting U.S. Secretary of State Victoria Nuland said in an interview with CNN this week, commenting on the spending aid package, which Congress failed to approve, thank goodness, before going on with a recess. Nuland said she has, quote, strong confidence that it will pass as it addresses Americans' own interests. No, they don't. That's not what it is. They want to continue their money laundering scheme. The American people are done with it. We're done with Ukraine. We're done with sending our money to overseas, and that's why they're trying to hurry up and push this to try to get this through, because they know the American people, the majority of us, don't really want this. But, quote, we have to remember that the bulk of this money is going right back to the U.S. economy to make weapons, including good-paying jobs in some 40 states across the U.S., she stated, adding that support for Ukraine in America is still strong, which she's lying. And again, this is because this, you know why? This supports the military-industrial complex. That's why she specifically mentioned the weapons and stuff like that they're going to be manufacturing here. This is the military-industrial complex, and that's what this money supports. It's a money laundering for the military-industrial complex. They have to have their war, and that's what this is about. And the war is what's funding this economy right now, this terrible economy right now. So let me play this clip here.
It is, and I do hear you and the others in the administration and supporters talking about the vital necessity to do this. But as people say, hope is not a strategy. And do you have any actual belief or reason to believe that eventually this bill will be paid? And if not, how are you going to make sure Ukraine gets vital weapons and ammunition?
Christian, I have strong confidence that when the House comes back, after they've been out in their districts, hearing from the American people, after they have heard from Ukraine, they have heard from Europe, which, by the way, just passed $54 billion in additional aid itself, that we will do what we have always done, which is defend democracy and freedom around the world, not just for victims of tyrants like Putin, but in our own interest in preserving a free and open international order. That's what we need to do. We've done it before. And by the way, we have to remember that the bulk of this money is going right back into the U.S. economy to make those weapons, including good-paying jobs in some 40 states across the United States.
So yeah, give us more money. It helps the military-industrial complex. Make this aid package so we can create more jobs for war. That's basically what she's saying. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives blocked the bill requested by U.S. President Joe Biden for an aid package for Kiev worth $60 billion, most of which is earmarked for weapons, earlier this month. They are expected to restart discussions on the package after they reconvene on February 28th. And U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken also recently said that roughly 90% of the financial assistance for Ukraine is spent on domestic production of weapons and equipment. At a press conference on December 20th, he said additional tranches would, quote, benefit American business, local communities, and strengthen the U.S. defense and industrial base. According to Germany's Kiel Institute, which tracks international support for Kiev, Washington allocated nearly $68 billion or $73 billion in aid for Ukraine between January 24th, 2022 and January 15th, 2024, including roughly $43 billion, which is $46.6 billion in military aid. However, I mean, all this money we just throwing at them. However, Kiev has been increasingly demanding more aid, more money, of course, from Western backers. Several days ago, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky warned visiting American legislators that Kiev would, quote, lose the war against Russia without Washington assistance, according to U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. How many billions upon billions of dollars we have to keep giving this country? We're not getting anything in return. Again, this is a money laundering scheme. This is to foot the military-industrial complex. They go on to say that according to a recent survey from the Harris Poll and Quincy Institute, a growing number of Americans do not support U.S. military aid to Kiev unless it's tied to peace talks. Only 22% of respondents said Washington should continue unconditionally provide Ukraine with financial assistance, while 48% said new funding must be conditioned on progress towards a diplomatic solution. Around 30% said that the U.S. should halt all aid. I'm part of that 30%. Stop giving our taxpayer money to these countries that really don't care anything about us, not going to pay us back, and it's going to continue to put us into debt. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time.